Was Uncle Howdy's mask the worst ever? How do indie wrestling companies stand out? How will Bronson Reed fare on main roster? All these questions answered and more on today's Ask WrestleJuice. Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to another Ask WrestleJuice. We got a bunch of great questions. Let's dive into it. First up, from Gern Blanston. That's a great name. Asks, is the Uncle Howdy mask the worst mask in wrestling history? If not, which mask is? So I had to dig back a long time ago to find the worst mask in wrestling history. And no, the Uncle Howdy mask isn't the worst one. I just don't think that the presentation that we saw on SmackDown last Friday was ideal for what they're trying to do with Uncle Howdy, which I'll be honest with you, I'm still not entirely sure. Maybe the idea was for it to be cheesy. No, the worst mask ever is, what's his name? Aldo Montoya, the Puerto Rican fighting machine, the Puerto Rican man of war, Portuguese man of war. That's what it was. The Portuguese man of war, Aldo Montoya. That was the worst wrestling mask ever because it looked like a pair of yellow underwear. Looked like a yellow jockstrap on poor Justin Credible's head. That's the worst one ever. As far as Uncle Howdy, a couple of you have questions about Uncle Howdy, where you think that's going to go. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to think the idea is for Uncle Howdy to be sort of cheesy, like a Chuck E. Cheese character or like one of the Firefly Funhouse guys. Maybe he did that as like a troll. Maybe it's like a really cheap, easy way or like a silly way to be like, hey, LA Knight, it wasn't me. See, here, I'm proving that. And he has this really shitty version of Uncle Howdy when, in fact, it is Bray Wyatt. Maybe the idea is he'll appear like next week or whatever, and LA Knight will attack him, and it's just some schmo under the mask. Or it's some guy who's got like duct tape over his face, and Bray is just sort of making him do these things. It could be that sort of thing. Maybe it'll end up being something cool, and this is sort of, a red herring or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to end up being. But what I saw on Friday was not very promising. So I'm not sure. I don't know where they're going to go with Uncle Howdy. Hopefully it'll be something cool. And this will be sort of like, I don't know, some misdirection. Napalm asks, what did you think of the Iron Survivor match? I know in the lead up you called it a clusterfuck, but I think they pulled it off really well. I'll be honest with you. I didn't watch it. I might try because I heard really good things about it. Larson really liked it. I heard really good things about it. I got to check it out. I know I do. I kind of feel bad about that one. I want to watch it. Everything I heard about it is really good. So that's awesome. Let's see here. Getting back to Uncle Howdy, Tyler Warden said, which other debuts have given you the same warm, fuzzy feeling of Uncle Howdy? Probably the top one that sort of made me feel the same way was when Karrion Kross had his Raw debut. I thought they did him bad. And I'm glad that Triple H brought him back and, he's got this thing coming up with Rey Mysterio. Lord Blake says, what's your craziest wrestling related prediction for 2023? Actually, we're doing wrestling predictions over at Going In Raw on the last day of the month. I think we're doing that on the 31st, but, I'd say one of my predictions for 2023 is we will. I saw one prediction that SmackDown was going to leave Fox and go back to NBC Universal because NBC Universal is going to lay the groundwork to buy WWE. I think we'll get a greater sense of that. I think Vince McMahon won't be heard from. He's not going to be erased. He won't be heard from in 2023. Deadpool Nerd, with the abundance of wrestling shows and good wrestling, what do you think it takes for a new promotion to stand out? Well, the one promotion that sort of stands out these days is, of course, my friends over at Deadlock Pro Wrestling. And I think that the interesting thing about that is that, they've got this really great lineup of homegrown talent. They bring in a bunch of awesome talent just to put on phenomenal matches. But the cool thing about it is, they're running storylines and everything, but also like their audience, which sort of was the core beginning audience of Deadlock. Now that it's grown to the amount it has, I think probably beyond the podcast audience, but the Deadlock audience got to see those guys do that from the beginning. And I think when you sort of start with an already established thing and you're able to turn that into a pro wrestling outfit, I think you got a leg up on everybody else. It just so happens that the guys at Deadlock did just a really, really, really good job of executing their vision. And that's why everybody's so in love with it. So I think that's what you got to do. You got to do something to make you stand out. And in the case of Deadlock, they had that awesome podcast, and that was the groundwork for the actual promotion. And there we are now with a really cool wrestling promotion out there. Claus Techno says, at the end of this best of 7 series, you think the Elite will go over and work with House of Black, or will they lose to the Death Triangle? And we're going to see House of Black versus Death Triangle and the Elite versus Punk and FTR. I don't think Punk's coming back. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Elite's going to win. And yeah, I think it sort of makes sense for the House of Black to then feud with the Elite. Although I want the Elite to feud with, a couple other outfits first before the House of Black comes around, because I want the House of Black to have those trios titles. Adonis Simon says, how do you think Bronson Reed will do on the main roster? I don't know. It all depends on his creative. I know Triple H has wanted him for a long time. Adonis here mentions the recent report that said Triple H is kind of disappointed in how some of the people that have returned are doing. I think that report was bullshit, to be honest with you. I don't think there's truth to it. I think there might be truth to the idea that Triple H is underwhelmed by how the show was performing, maybe in the ratings. Maybe he had hoped to have been in a different spot at this point, but I don't think for a second that Triple H is the kind of guy, because we have no evidence to suggest that he's like that he would bring a bunch of people in and his creative would be basically responsible for whether or not they're going to be successful or not, and then blame it on them. That's a Vince McMahon thing. And I do not think for a second that Triple H would do that. I think that report was complete bullshit. Eastside Review says, Mount Rushmore party snacks. Party snacks. You know what I really like? I like those. I don't even know what they're called. They're like those rolls that are like chopped up. I'm not talking about sushi. They're like sushi though, but they're like wrapped up in like, they're just wraps. They're wraps, but they're chopped up. They got like a little bit of cottage cheese in it, or cream cheese rather in it. And then a bunch of other shit. You have like meats in there or cheeses or whatever. Yeah. Or anything you want in there. They're just called wraps, but they're like cut up. They're like wraps. Anyways, I like movies. Also, I like pizza rolls, pizza bagels. Holy shit, pizza bagels are great. I like movies. Says, why do you think Damage Control, especially Bailey, has been booked really bad? Because they lose too much. Bailey should have won that title off Bianca. Braden Loader, if the rumors about his comeback are true, how would you book the return of Eric Young to WWE? Sanity. You just bring back Damo. Maybe bring back Alexander Wolf. Have him feud maybe with Imperium or something. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be Sanity. Sanity versus Judgment Day. Stinky Bojangles. What are your favorite bad wrestling moments? Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan at Halloween Havoc 98. It's hilarious. You just see two giant egos with nobody to keep them in check. Neither of them on the same page. It's amazing. Archer, what question would you ask Tony Khan in an AEW media scrum? If I was at an AEW media scrum, I'd ask him something about creative process, because that's what I'm most interested in. I don't know. I'd ask something like, hey, where do you draw the line between allowing your wrestlers creative freedom and you coming up with stuff for them, or somebody in your staff coming up with something for them? Something along those lines. CB Poppy says, what are your thoughts on the announcement of AEW Dynamite changing up production 2023? We actually talked about this on Going in Raw when that news broke. I don't know if it was, when was it? Last week at some point. I like it. I think it's a good idea. I'm fine with the way Dynamite's presented now, but I'm always down for a change. I always like change just for the sake of change. I'm interested to see how much they could gussy it up, but I think it looks great the way it is, to be honest with you. Mikey7G says, I'm thinking about making YouTube videos, but the fair use laws confuse me. What I'm reading doesn't match the videos I watch. Cultaholic, Zane, OSW, etc. So here's the thing about fair use laws. YouTube doesn't care about them. They don't care about fair use laws because the law is something that would, in order to be enforced or not, would have to play into going to court for certain things, establishing precedent. So YouTube doesn't deal with fair use. You can make a video that uses other people's footage, completely fair use. They will then, if that company wants to, they can have that shit taken down if they want to. Like if you do a video on WWE stuff or WCW stuff, WWE can have it taken down. And even if it falls under fair use, the only way for you to go ahead and prove that is to say, hey, I'm allowed to produce this video. Here's the thing. You're allowed to produce that video. It doesn't matter because YouTube's own regulations on their own platform says WWE can have that video taken down if you're using their footage, even if it's fair use. You can distribute that video any other way you want, and WWE can try to take it down. And then you can take them to court if you think it's fair use. That's sort of the problem there, is that fair use is a legal thing. YouTube doesn't really deal with that. YouTube has their own rules and regulations for their platforms. So the general rule of thumb with YouTube videos is keep every shot of footage that you're using to under 3 seconds. Because that gets around YouTube's content ID system, where WWE has all of their network stuff. Everything in the WWE network has been uploaded to YouTube, albeit a lot of it privately, for copyright purposes, because it can allow YouTube's content ID matching system to look at it, scan it, and then find it anywhere else. Cutting your video into less than 3 second chunks of that footage gets around that. So it won't be caught automatically. Then you have to worry about a manual takedown or a manual claim, where if you're advertising, hey, this is my video, it's a top 10, worst debuts in WWE history, and somebody's going through wrestling videos and your video is popular, they notice that it's using WWE footage, they could hit you with a copyright claim. It's happened to me plenty of times. I know it's happened to Brian Zane plenty of times. I imagine it's happened to everybody plenty of times. It's just the tightrope that you walk on YouTube. Somehow, some way, Brian Zane has found a way to continue to do that because WWE evidently is okay with him monetizing that. And on occasion, I think he still gets takedowns. He still gets copyright claims. I haven't really kept up that much, but I know he's complained about that in the past. Generally speaking, if you use still imagery, you should be fine. I heard a rumor that Cultaholic's History of WWE got either demonetized or copyright or something like that. I don't know. But I watched the first 20 minutes. It's a fucking awesome video, and it looks like it's all adhering to copyright stuff, so to YouTube's content ID matching. So I don't know why it would have been taken down or demonetized. Deep Voice Dude, if CM Punk returns to either WWE or AEW, does he have a chance at world title in either promotion? No. Too many injuries. Not going to happen. Michael Carlson says, who do you want to see in the Rumble? Legends, RVD, and from NXT, Carmelo Hayes. Let's see here. Ad Savage, what's your favorite WWE pay-per-view this year? Probably Extreme Rules, because it's the one where they murdered Beth Phoenix. I say that jokingly. They just gave her the concerto, and I thought it was a really marvelous moment. I thought it was really good. Let's see, a couple more. One more here. Oh no, I already got that one. All right, cool. That's gonna do it. That's all our questions for the day. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. Check out this video right here. Check out that video. Till next time, we'll talk to you over there.